been feeling just a little bit low. Got to get back to the show and we'll fly. Yeah. You don't have to feel like you're on your own. No one should have to dance alone, not tonight. For somebody to make memories in a bank forever in time. There's no reason to be hard to find, 'cause we've already lost our mind. You and me, we're gonna write a little history. You and me, just show me love and then you'll see.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mini RPG of the Week. I'm back. It's me. I'm on my own channel once again for the first time in weeks. I've managed to squeeze out all the invaders and force my way back onto stream, but still joined by one of those invaders, MachtFISCH. You've been having a great time over here without me.
Yeah, you say you squeezed out everyone, but yet I'm still the parasite, that one little bug that you can't quite get and you can't quite crush, and I'm sorry, Nua, I'm just taking over your Twitch channel slowly but surely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're managing to stick around next week for a third week in a row, and I won't be here. It'll be yourself and Swaces next week, which I'm excited for. That stream, I'm going to be enjoying sitting on the sidelines for that one, having my finger hovered over the end stream button, just in case anything goes too far off the rails. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not nervous at all. Listen, we've got Mini RPG of the Week mocked. I'm excited for it. You know it at least as well as I do at this point. Give us the rundown. What are we doing here this evening?
Well, we'll be doing a Cup of the Day style format, but, you know, with a mini RPG track, so RPG obviously being short for role-playing game as well in Trackmania, so normally, like, the longer tracks more focus on storylines, and, you know, you mostly steal some treasure or from some ancient civilization or something like that, but, of course, mini RPG just boiled down, no lore, no storyline, but 45 seconds of pure RPG tricks, reducing airtime, is probably one of the most important things that come to mind when we talk about mini RPG tracks. And with Cup of the Day, we're going to have a 50-minute time attack where everyone can try and learn this map as quickly as possible. And then Cup of the Day style 4 eliminations until top 16, then 2 eliminations until top 6, and then 1 elimination to follow. That to determine our winner. And top 10 gets Wikipedia credit. And I don't think I've forgotten anything.
Yeah, top 10 get Liquid Greedy credit. Top 4 do get on the Trackmania News Discord server, results channel. Pretty big deal. I mean, you know, for your whatever definition of a big deal you actually want to include there. But it is going to be exciting. As usual, we have a couple of big names joining the server. Yannick has joined. Lookers Turbo has joined. Both of those players looking for a big result after a couple of weeks struggling to find one. I was very excited watching the stream last week to see an Irish name breaking into the top 5. Not quite able to break that top 4, but I'll be keeping an eye out, seeing if Dank can go even further this week. I think it was maybe a pop-off result. He may be sliding back down a little bit, but hey, you never know, and that is the joy of a mini RPG, isn't it, MachtFISCH? That it is not over until every car reaches the finish line. There are tricks the whole way through. There are places that even very experienced players can make mistakes. Even after they've been playing the track for 15 minutes, half an hour, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to see mistakes. And I think, given the description of the map that we have for tonight, we're going to be seeing maybe even a few more mistakes than usual.
Oh yeah, mistakes are going to be aplenty here in Mini RPG of the week. Because, like, we have it every time, I feel like. Every time, at least, that I'm on, it's like everyone from the local record just fails one round, is just eliminated. Where at the end you just have one person that's in the local top 10 is just remaining in the competition. Like, that's, like, even the very, very good players, like someone like Yannick's, for example, or like a Turbo, they're still struggling. Like, they are still not as consistent because it's a hard, like, these tracks are difficult to learn and even more difficult to master. And you were pretty much asking the impossible here for them to learn them and, you know, be consistent at very many difficult tricks very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think definitely we're seeing here already a little bit more of an element of pathfinding than maybe our players are 100% used to here on Rackham. Rackham, built by Team Music. And before we go any further, I want to speculate a little about why this map is called Rackham, because there are a few famous Rackhams throughout history, all right? You got John Rackham. Calico Jack was a famous pirate during the golden age of piracy. You've got a Rackham who was a famous book author. You've got Mazer Rackham, is a guy from Ender's Game, which is a very famous book. So we're gonna have to ask the map maker afterwards which Rackham he was thinking of, or where the name actually came from, because there's many options.
I'm just gonna believe you with every single word you said, because I don't have a bloody clue, mate. I'm not British enough to know any Rackhams. it's not necessarily a common name here in Germany, so you know, like but I'm just gonna believe you, as like what we've seen in the map, what you told earlier, what you've said earlier is, you know, a little bit of pathfinding and a lot of options there. We have seen the risky finish that at Worker just went for, and we've also seen, to I think a lot of players' dissatisfaction, a lot of plastic.
Yeah, definitely plastic, not one that they're all particularly happy about. Now, a section of the map that the author said he was very happy with how he managed to make it turn out is that section we just saw Worker on, where you go through that kind of slide through a quarter pipe on your roof, bounce onto a plastic, into a reactor boost. It's one of those sections where you have to hope that the author absolutely has gotten it correct, because if they hasn't, it does feel a little bit inconsistent. Players are gonna feel like they're having a bad time with it, but I'll be honest, like, looking at it so far, Mock, that section does look like it's working out pretty consistently. Like, you can get it 100% of the time with a little bit of practice. Yeah,
it's just about getting it at the end of the day and getting it consistent. But, you know, our mapper was also very, very happy. The music was very happy with the flow he used to create. So I think once the players are a bit more comfortable with the track and know, like, the sort of little speed checks that there seem to be, I think the flow is going to carry them through those difficult parts, as we see Worker here. Ooh, that's a beautiful transition, isn't it?
It's nice. I mean, the question also becomes, anytime there is an upward reactor boost, is there an inconsistent zoop that's going to gain someone 4 or 5 tenths, you know, just shooting the car out in front of people? I think with a little bit of air braking, with where that car is going to land off that roof bounce, there's definitely a not insignificant chance that there is a way to do it. But again, the question comes down to how consistently you can get it. We'll see how that happens with the top players. You know, if we see the top players consistently going through there, getting mostly the same speed, is it a skill check? Is it just an RNG check?
I don't think, like, usually those zoops that you get are done with, like, a road border, and since I don't really see a road border there, maybe you could use the right or left side of the boost.
Is it air braking though? I do feel like maybe an air brake at the right time as you rotate through the ring, maybe a little bit of a skill check, just way to gain a little bit more speed, and, like, that's exciting to me. One that is skilled rather than, as you say, just like, oh, try and hit a road border correctly.
But at the same time, the air brake, okay, yeah, I can see that, but would the risk and reward be worth it at the end of the day? Because with the air brake, if you just mistime it very, very slightly, you are all but screwed, honestly, because it stops your rotation, and you could just edge up a little bit, like an inch or two to the left or to the right, and then you miss the booster at the bottom, and you're just completely yeeted off the map. So it's very high risk to go for that strat. I don't think we're going to see people trying to mess with any of the reactor boosts just here, because this isn't a campaign map where the players have 2 months to grind it. They just have 10 minutes now to learn it.
Yeah, it's true. It's I'm sure there are tricks, and I mean, hey, you know, any kind of these mini RPG maps that do end up having a nice flowy style that have interesting tricks are really fun maps to hunt. So who knows, if this map does end up getting hunted a little bit more, maybe that is the kind of trick that the world record ends up having in it at some point. But as you say, during rounds, maybe you just don't even want to try and risk it. Maybe you just find your consistent lines, because consistent lines carry you very far in mini RPG of the week. We have seen it time and again. Speaking of times, let's take a quick look at what has been happening in this lobby so far at the moment. It's Alpha is at the top of the leaderboard with a 106, basically 0.6, but has managed to just about sneak under that threshold by 1,000. The author has told us that they do reckon a good time probably around the 105 mark, but as has happened to a few of our mini RPG of the week authors, they've admitted that you know, they're not as confident in their driving skills as they are in their mapping skills, and so they're excited as we are. They're as excited as we are to see where these top players can actually push the times on these tracks.
Yeah, a low 105 is what has been said to be, you know, a good time during rounds, and you know, with about 10 minutes left in warm-up, we just had a first time into 106, so I think he's not far off the money here. Yeah. I think the players are obviously going to get more comfortable, but I think a low 105 going into rounds will definitely, still probably at the end as well, be a very, very strong time. So for me, yeah, I think that even though the mapper might not be too confident in his own driving abilities, I think he's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think it's been well calculated so far. And to be honest, yeah, I think even when the mappers do kind of tell us like, oh, I'm not really sure, I'm not the best driver, so I don't know, they do tend to have a pretty good handle on exactly how far players are going to be able to push their maps, which is a nice thing. I will say the other nice thing that's generally been true in the RPG of the week is that I don't think we've ever really seen a week with a big cut. You know, these maps tend to have been pretty well tested. I mean, obviously that's helped slightly by the 15-minute warm-up, but you know, you see plenty a couple of days where players manage to find cuts. I think the closest we've really come was a couple of the risky fin that had a risky fin and a riskiest fin.
Oh yeah, I just remember from last week. The riskiest fin is, honestly, it's a very creative setup, because we are all very
we've had one deliberate riskiest fin, and then we had the unintentional riskiest fin a week or two before that.
Oh yeah, I remember like the medieval castle map. Like,
no, that was
week
the
10,
one
week
that
11?
I'm thinking of was the week that I cast specifically with Zeterite, which I believe was week 11. Wasn't the medieval castle map, was the week that had a bobsleigh section where you exited the bobsleigh overwall halfway through, and then there was a way to essentially try and skip the risky fin, but it was faster but also riskier. And I mean, hey, it was fun to watch, but made the finishes very hectic to watch.
I mean, but that's ultimately what we want to see, though. It's like there's still the anguish of, oh, you've almost made it, you're almost through, and then nope, you are done. You are absolutely done. And I'm wondering about the respawns here as well, because the checkpoints do seem quite spread apart. So with that as well, but that's something that especially last week was the case. Like that finish checkpoint, or some of the checkpoints very far away, very long respawn time. It seems like on this map that we do have like a lot of more checkpoints very close together as we are on board with Hazard. We've got about one checkpoint every 5 or 6 seconds or so, or like that sort of area, which is, I think, a good spacing overall, which, you know, it still punishes the mistake, but it doesn't kill you when you do one mistake.
Yeah, it's not completely run-ending. With that in mind, one of the things I have occasionally slightly criticized players for in the past, as much as, you know, we try to keep things positive here, as much as we're nice about good driving, I think calling your respawn early is a skill that some players occasionally lack, which is recognizing when you are not going to be able to make the next trick in a mini RPG, recognizing when things have just gone badly wrong. You still see sometimes players continue for another second or so before pulling the trigger on their respawn, and in a format where, you know, we've seen plenty of players denied by less than half a second, denied by a 2/10 to get knocked out. Delaying a respawn for a full second, that's a full second sometimes that you cannot afford, especially when it is already a mistake that's happening. So even on a map like this where you have plenty of respawns, it is just something I do like to keep an eye out for, is, hey, sometimes you just gotta pull that trigger on the respawn in rounds.
And not only just pulling the trigger on the respawn, but also not being afraid to do the double respawn.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to
100%.
use the standard respawn, because ideally, and it looks like this map is complying to that standard for RPG maps, is that every RPG checkpoint should be double respawnable.
Yeah.
Like, there shouldn't be one checkpoint that is contingent on you having speed from anything prior. Or if so, then you dislocate the double respawn checkpoint point.
Yeah,
like there are options to work around that, right? So that's also like a skill to be recognized. Like, okay, my line in there is just not gonna work. I need to double respawn. Yes, it's gonna take more time, but like in the short term, but it's gonna save you time in the medium term, because you might just have to take that one double respawn instead of like 5 or 6 single respawns.
Yeah, and as much as I was praising our mappers in general for managing to make maps that are not particularly cuttable, we have had one incident where a checkpoint was not double respawnable. I believe that was the week we actually didn't have an English cast, so some people may have missed that if you were spectating only, but there was an early checkpoint on one of our maps, which was around a banked plastic turn, I believe on custom blocks, and if you attempted to double respawn, you would just end up falling through the plastic blocks and unable to get anywhere, which meant that we saw a couple of people with compromised lines having to try and double respawn and finding themselves unable to do so. But hey, I think, look, week 14 with as many checkpoints as we've had in a mini RPG style, with as many custom blocks as we've had as well, it's pretty impressive that we've only really seen one instance of that being the case as well.
14 weeks, 14 maps, hundreds of checkpoints, only one not double respawn. I think less than 1%. At less than 1%, we can say that's pretty good.
Good
right?
job, mappers. Yeah, we're proud of you.
Good job, mappers, for applying good mapping etiquette, I guess. Yeah. Applause to our mappers from everyone that is currently in chat and not playing the mini RPG of the week, and not. I don't know why you want to hear our gibberish while you're concentrating and focusing on a difficult map. And by the way, this does seem to be like a very long map, and B, a very, very difficult one at that. Like, why would you listen to our gibberish when you're trying to focus? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if there's plenty of turns on this map where you do want to be carrying speed, so you want to try and avoid drifting, and it's leading to these situations where we are seeing players who just cannot get the turn tight enough. They start a little bit too late and they just end up sadly driving off the edge. And hey, it's a ton of fun to watch in rounds. Again, that's one of those situations, and it's kind of why I started to highlight it earlier. This is one of those maps where you do need to recognize early, like here, Nabla, not able to do it. In rounds, you need to be able to recognize as early as possible that that line is not making the turn, that you are going to need to respawn and maybe start a drift, maybe just play the corner, to play the checkpoint a little bit differently. So this is a map, there's a reason I highlighted that skill. It is a map that is going to test that one. Another skill this map is going to test, and unfortunately it's one we're going to struggle to kind of highlight, Mocked, is your camera control through this section, the one that Yannex is going through right now, because that's something that the mappers kind of highlighted to us. This quarter pipe on your roof, into the reactor boost, onto a sideways wall. It's not forced camera as far as we know through most of that section, so being able to swap cameras, knowing how to get through there comfortably, is a skill the players are going to be tested on, and that's a skill that is almost uniquely tested in mini RPG and in RPG over any other style of map.
Yeah, with the camera perspective as well, like, you have to switch really, really quickly there from Cam 1 or Cam 2, whichever you prefer. If you're Cam 2, you're weird, but Cam 1 or Cam 2, into Cam 3, go into first person, and just get to just see wherever you're going, and then go back quickly into Cam 2 or Cam 1 for the sideways, for the wall, for the plastic wall where you're landing with the boost. Actually, Cam 2 for that probably is preferable over Cam 1. So even if you're a Cam 1 player, you might be tempted to go into Cam 2 or maybe even Cam 3. Stay in the eagle perspective to minimize camera switching, because like with your left hand, like not a lot, like some people are braking with the left hand, and that can be difficult when you're also managing cameras. So you have to either start braking with one hand or switch cameras. Like, it's a difficult balance to get for some players with different control schemes.
Yeah, and so that's what we'll be keeping in mind. If anyone fails that wall in particular, it may not just be a skill issue, it may be a camera management issue, which ultimately, yeah, I mean, that's also a skill issue. So
I was about to say, is that not a skill issue?
Yeah, exactly. Just a skill that it's hard to see on a broadcast, it's hard to see in spectator mode, but just something to keep in mind. You know, we'll be a little bit lenient on the players as they head through that section. Quick speed check on the leaderboard as we get to the end of our 15-minute warm-up. Yannex leading things has gotten about as low as it is possible to get in the 105s without actually breaking down into the 104s. That is 105.046. Will not be improving on that before the end of this session. Its alpha follows Acid and Hazard, two very familiar names at this point to anyone who's been watching Mini RPG of the Week for any amount of time. Nabla behind them, and again a couple of familiar names in Lars and Tarpor. Jaja rounding out the top 8, and honestly, it's only the two of those last players, 7 and 8, who haven't managed to get into the 105s, and we're kind of used to the top 8 slowly improving over the course of rounds as we head towards that kind of top 16, top 20 tends to be when things get tight enough that it stops being improved by much. So we'll expect to see that entire top 8 inside the 105s before too much longer, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tarpo and Jaja, they're 106.01 and 0.02, so they're basically in the 10. They're basically in the 105s anyway, and you know, also as we see 95 players in the lobby, so we might have a long evening ahead of us. But with that, we do go to the warm-up round. And I need to remind myself every time that this is a warm-up round. There's no elimination, so we can still talk about, you know, what we can expect. And there's always some expectation that we have about how many players are actually going to be eliminated in round 1. I think the DQ timer is about 40 seconds, which, given the length of the map, isn't all that long.
Yeah, and given the amount of skill checks on this map, the speed checks implicit in a lot of these turns, I know that bug slide checkpoint is definitely going to force at least a double respawn out of a lot of players. Again, a point where you need to call your respawn nice and early. If you need to double respawn it, just do it. With all of that said, we could be seeing, I'm going to say, 18 eliminations on this first round.
18 eliminations from 88 players. 89 players, still some...
It'll keep ticking up as players manage to join the lobby over the course of this round. Yeah, so some players still loading.
And there's still one thing that I don't really get, right? Yeah. Is the DNFing on the first non-elimination round. Why? Why would you not take one more try to, you know, learn the map and maybe try to work on your respawns or do something like that?
Quick 2-minute bathroom break, you know, take a sip of water. Maybe you've got to text the girlfriend, let her know that, oh my god, there's 95 people in this lobby and obviously I'm going to win, so sorry babe, I'll be a little bit later tonight than I'm planning to. I don't know, there could be legitimate reasons.
I mean, oh, that's a potential fail there from Yannick that I didn't expect.
Yeah, you do need to be taking that bounce. You need to make sure you're completely straight on. And what we've actually seen from top players in the lobby is that they're carrying so much speed through that bug slide that they need to be careful not to launch themselves at an angle down onto the dirt, because what we saw from Yannick there is he had so much speed, he launched onto the dirt with an angle, and from there fails the bounce. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. You can be too good for your own good on that bug slide turnaround.
Yeah, Yannick's especially on that bug slide, he's so quick that he just loses ground contact, right? So he's shaving off a little bit of speed there on that transition down to the red booster, to that plastic bound. So that might be a problem of you getting a bug slide that's simply too clean.
But too clean a bug slide is just, it's a fun concept.
It shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't be a thing. It absolutely is. It's always an issue for me with bug slides, whether or not there's a speed check afterwards, whether or not you can lose ground contact. Is just knowing when to exit it is a skill in and of itself to try and maintain maximum speed. And there's top players having to slightly unlearn that skill right now. You do not want to carry absolute maximum speed out of there unless you are perfectly straight exiting the bug slide. With that said, there's probably time to be gained. If you can carry max speed, exit perfectly straight with a lot of speed and land down on the booster, hey, you'll probably do okay. We are going to head into round 1 of Mini RPG of the Week. It's week 14. We have got 96 players here in round 1. We're looking at a pretty high number of eliminations on what promises to be a challenging map here. It's going to be Rackham by Team Music. We're already a few seconds in.
Already a few seconds in, you could see cars flying off the track left, right and center there at the first checkpoints, but the game also blatantly lying to us, because I fully expected to be more than 4 eliminations in this first round, as we are on board with Ascent Demos, who's, you know, having a good time, and we've seen a lot of familiar names as well in the both high echelons as well as the low echelons. Bug slide, oh, that's clean, and that's maybe the perfect finish, because that will set him up here for a very nice transition into the finals. And we already have a first DNF.
Yeah, there's one DNF, as if you're failing all the way back at the start by now, you start to recognize, like, yep, I'm not going to beat this time-out timer. But yeah, Demos, I think, did a great job through that bug slide section. That's exactly what we were kind of looking for. Maybe not the absolute fastest way through it, but definitely a safe, a consistent way through it. That's been enough to carry him up from about 15th near the first half to a 4th. I think Demos, a player to keep an eye on, seems to have consistent lines for an awful lot of this track. Let's take a look at this safe finish, what these players will be doing. There is still bounce strats there, maybe, if you want to look for them on the safe finish, but that's where it starts to get a little bit risky. Back down at the back of the pack, these are the players who are now flirting with elimination.
Flirting with elimination is Ariade. He only has 25 seconds to get to the finish. It should be enough time, but that respawn. Okay. Double respawn. Safe with the red booster. Will that give him enough speed? I think he has to go risky finish. I don't think there's enough time for the safe finish.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it's gonna be fine. Place number 88 now, as Yunari hugging the checkpoint there.
Ooh, 15 players eliminated. I was close with 18, not as close as I have been in the past. I said 24, it was 23. Orion last week, I believe, said 12 and it was 11 or something similar.
Orion was very close last week. And I think I saw his name somewhere. I think he's playing, actually. Maybe Deploy can focus on him for the next, for the next round.
Always fun, flaming a few people a little bit, who we know on the stream. Ariade, a player who nearly got eliminated last round. Got to the finish line with about 8 seconds left, but is now going to have to race to it. Lama? That's Lama. That's Lama. Lama is struggling a long way back. I'm sorry, Mocht. It's all gone horribly wrong.
It's all gone horribly wrong. One of the even more Rocket League people that somehow seem to be interested in Trackmania. Because maybe because of us, I don't know why quite exactly, but there is quite a big overlap between Rocket League players and Trackmania players. You know, similar games, both racing games in the further sense. As Orion, oh no, he's having a bit of a nightmare. 79th place, but of course, I don't think the respawn time will be a problem. But he might have a problem here just catching up. No, he's safe, but bug slide. Okay. Is he gonna? Oh no, it's a bit wide. Double respawn. He has to double respawn. He recognized that. That's a skill we wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I asked for, and I'm glad to see Orion is taking the heat. He's got a little bit far left of that one. It'll be hard to get into the wall to get this turnaround cleanly, but he does get there just about. Wheels dried off by that dirt, a strategically placed dirt block by the mapper to make things a little bit easier to make that next turn, as Orion is climbing the ranks. And that means down in these elimination zones, Sorger and Interim, Varbos and the Rima. Ryan is going for the risky fin. No Caritas here. He's going to fail miserably. And now things are a little bit more spicy. He is dropping a little bit lower. Goes for it again. And it's at this point, and, you know, credit to Orion for the decision making. When you have a little bit of a buffer in these early rounds, these are the times to work out the kinks for when you need that risky finish later.
Exactly. Now is very much a time of, okay, I'm safe. I can go for the risky finish, because also this safe finish on this map is very, very safe, unlike other maps we've seen for mini RPGs where the safe finish wasn't always the easiest option. And with that, we have 4 more eliminations. None of which are players that we know personally. I don't think so.
I don't think
Everyone from our Rocket League teams, as well as co-casters,
they're still important players. It's still a shame to see anyone go out.
I didn't say they weren't.
It's true. We haven't seen any big eliminations yet either, exactly. And I think it's usually kind of around maybe the 60 mark when we do start to see maybe players that we recognize as players who can go deep in mini RPG, whether or not we know them, whether or not it's people that we're like, oh, we'd like to see them go far. So I think around the 60 mark when we start to worry. I say that. Here's Corzo down in 74th. And there's a player who can definitely do damage at times. Down in the bottom is Tom as well. And Alex and Yorshmi down in the bottom to round that out for the time being.
The bottom 4 currently, but still very close together. So it's very easy to just catch up on one mistake, and with the amount of players that are still left in the competition, mistakes are going to happen, as we see someone flying off the backside, but NuaLaoch getting it beautifully, showing us, I think, a pretty much perfect example there of the backslide transition.
I gotta tell you, Mock, I was nervous. When we got our weekly kind of handover document from the mapper, and he said, you know, it's a map, there's a lot of reactor tricks and plastic bounces and water features. I mean, I was nervous that we were going to see something a little bit out there, a little bit, I don't know, what's the word? A little bit
experimental.
Too wicked. Yeah, experimental is a very good word for it, but right now I am delighted. Like, I mean, these tricks, they look cool, they feel consistent based on what we're seeing from the players in general, and that's all we can really ask for a mini RPG. I'm not sure the play was the risky fin for the risky fin was the play there for Wyopra. But I think in 73rd, still in 73rd, just needs to finish it. Maybe a little bit too late now. Could have just safe finned and gotten in. Is going to miss the risky fin one more time. And I think there is still one more place up for grabs. We're seeing our Nad go through. No, Ariada, excuse me, will finish in 74th. Wyopra could have stayed in with a safe fin, but just tunnel visioned on that risky fin a little bit too hard.
I mean, if you're gonna go out, at least go out trying to risky finish. At that point, it's like, okay, I failed twice. I'm not gonna let that finish defy me. I don't care if I'm out. I just want to beat that risky finish. And with that, I mean, he was out, but you know, a player that has been in the bottom four for a long time that round was Nabla, who we also expect to do some serious damage. Like, I'm looking for when I think of Nabla, I'm looking at like at least a top 20 finish, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's been in top 10s quite a lot as well. So definitely someone that we don't expect, especially in these early rounds before like top 60 comes around, that we don't expect down here. But also, you know, that just speaks to the quality of players that just choose to go and play mini RPG of the week. It just gets better and better every week.
Yeah, 96 players, and honestly, a lot of them are pretty good players. It's not like we're getting, you know, kind of the dregs of Cup of the Day here. As much as I hate to say that, that's a very mean way to put that. I apologize. We love to see people learning, but it is a hard track style, so generally the people who are willing to put themselves through it are people who are relatively confident in their skills in the game in the first place. Is, I think, the more polite way of saying what I was trying to say there.
I mean, you can be direct. Like, we all love directness. As we are coming directly to the last third of the map. And Deloweed is having a bit of a nightmare there with his connection, so we're going to switch to Yapsinio, currently on the chopping block, about 30 seconds behind the lead, and you know that lead with Coco, 104.9, excellent time from him. Yapsinio, I don't think the respawn was the play there. He could have just gone for the checkpoint and then continued on to that risky finish, or even to the safe finish. He's still very deep in the mud. 17th, he has to go risky fin, but he doesn't have the speed. Oh no, does he get it? Modi failed the finish, so there might be a chance. No snipe.
Nope. No snipe, as Modio is going to finish behind Yaps and Dargan to take 72nd, which will leave Deloweed down in 73rd and still struggling with connection issues, it looks like, down there. A few laggy bounces, that's just the car grooving out in the water as Deployer's camera joins it just for good measure as well. 4 more players eliminated. We will head down to 69 players. What a nice place to be in Mini RPG of the Week number 14.
Nice. That's my only comment on that. I don't have more to offer at this point.
Hey, it's good. Do you know what we can offer is already our top 8 being down around the 105.5 seconds, with 2 players breaking those 104s. I think we could well see them get down into the kind of mid to low 104s as things go on. And that's exciting. It means that there is definitely still room to push on this map as we head towards better and better players competing on pure pace.
Yeah, and especially with these top players like Yannick, Coco, Worker, Lars, Lucas Turbo, and whatnot. Like, all of them are going to push now because they know they have the margin to try and push and try to find what this map is like if you're going to push it to the absolute extreme. But the further we're going to get into the competition, the closer we are going to get to like top 30, top 20, I think we're going to see a generally slowing down of times because the players will go for more safe lines. Because they know they don't have the margin anymore to safely respawn, so they'd rather just not fail and get a solid like 105.5, 105.6, or even 106.0, rather than pushing for the 104 and then getting absolutely decimated.
Yeah, exactly. That is the way to go. Make sure you're safe, make sure you're consistent. There's a flip out. There's maybe a sign as to why some players do dislike water and reactors, and mixing them together, that's a no-no in some eyes. But we haven't seen people fail that way, that spectacularly, many times yet. So hopefully a recovery to come through. I believe that was Matty down in 67th at the moment. We'll keep an eye on where he managed to fix up. Nabla in 66th, back riding the edge here. It's going to have to be a risky fin. It might be too late already. I believe Skyron has finished in 65th. Nabla will drop out in 66th position.
And that's really surprising, as everyone is actually nailing the risky finish. Nabla out this early is very, very surprising, and Llama will take probably one of the best spots that we have in 69th. I mean, if you're gonna go out 69th, you know,
do it in style on the risky fin. 69th position. We say goodnight to Llama, and with the Llama gone to bed, we're down into 65th place, as we are a third of the field already gone from this one. And I think what we're seeing, a risky finish that definitely can be done fairly consistently, which is always nice to see, but definitely failable as well. That gives me hope for a very exciting finish as we get towards the higher numbers, as this is a track with so much flow, just like the mapper kind of set out to, just like he said he was kind of happy with. I'm looking forward to our final rounds on this one. I think we could see some grandstand finishes for sure.
It looked a bit like stitched together in the training when everyone was still learning the map, but now that everyone, I think, has a good grasp on what the map is, how the lines are supposed to be taken here on Rackham, I think it really shows their flow. Like, the transitions are clean. The plastic landings are actually really interesting most of the time to get the cars to grip earlier and get some more momentum going out of these transitions, because, of course, on plastic you will accelerate a little bit quicker than you would on tarmac. As we are heading into the last third of the map, Yoshmi Veloce currently on the chopping block, but that's a good transition. He doesn't quite hug the wall, but still gets good amount of speed.
There's Turbo now in 61st as well. He's right on the borderline at the moment. Has climbed up into 60th. Is getting a little bit away from this pack, but there are a lot of players in contention for this last spot in 64th. V's has made a little bit of a mistake. Will need to race to the finish. Oron, that might be a little bit too early. It is a little bit too early. That could cost you a spot in 61st. I believe it already has. Wazix has finished in 61st, and that's the danger of the risky fin. It is failable for as much as it is consistent.
It is very consistent, but if you just drive off the edge that little bit too early, you will be... Ooh, that's very quick. That was good. I think that was the best risk.
Our top players, we're taking note. We're keeping an eye on exactly how fast and how high you can bounce off that one. And we talked a little bit in the warm-up about risky fins versus riskier fins. There are definitely riskier ways to take this risky fin if you really want them.
Yeah, if you really want them, you can go for it. Like we've just seen, just go as late as you dare to get the highest bounce, because you will be carrying more speed, right? So you will get the higher bounce. That's just simple physics. And at the later rounds, that might be the 1 or 2 crucial tenths of a second that might save you a round, that might snipe you and snipe the opponent, as we are into round number 8 here of 27s, only down to 61 players, so we've already lost a third of our player base. Let's see who we will be losing. But one thing I've seen is a new player in the top 10 and in the top 8 local records, and that's Bossbears, who's shown out of nowhere basically and put a 105 flat pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, look, you say out of nowhere, but when you're a player as good as Bosbez in the lobby as well, you do have to be aware
we haven't seen a record from him during warm-up.
It's true. No, I know. Listen, I know. I was just calling you out anyway. And I did want to highlight that he is a very good player, and he can go deep, has gone deep in a couple of mini RPGs of the week in the past as well. So, hey, not an unexpected name to see up there, but you're right, is popping up out of nowhere to be the third player to take a top 4 time. Now he's first. And he's been joined in that 104 zone by Snow, so that was an incredibly fast round at the top. Lingo trailing them down in 3rd place by nearly 6/10. That was incredible from our top 2, but the race is still on down at the bottom. I believe Godzilla will just finish in 58. Again, a solid risky fin, but when the players in front of you are nailing it as well, there's not much to be done.
Yeah, players in front already finishing. We can see that by, obviously, the time at the left just stopping to tick up for any of the players, so that's always a good indicator if you're still in, or if the last risky finish is just for show. So we head into the next round. It's a long one, this map. Like, it's so much to keep track of with this start already. Like, if you're a little bit too far to the outside, or if you're a little bit too tight at the checkpoint, it's a very tight line to get there. And we see every round, I think, we have people failing. This time around, Mike and Hazard both failing and being in 54th and 53rd respectively. Mike now moving out of the lower places, and love to see that.
Yeah,
I'm not biased at all. He's not a friend. I'm not biased.
Oh, no, 100%. No, absolutely not. But he's being chased by good players. YaLoch down there in 55th, there's a player who can do damage. As much as I'm overusing this phrase, there are a lot of very strong players in this lobby. And at 14 editions in, we've seen our top 10 rotate out a few different times. We've seen a lot of different names up there. We know a lot of these players have the caliber to make it all the way up there as well. Those players who were down there, they're still at a point of competition where they have climbed out pretty quickly. It's Guisac, CD, GG, Simon and Sive down at the bottom at the moment, and Snow forced into a respawn. That's a different Snow, just to be clear, from the one who currently has third placed on the server.
Yeah, that's Snow TM. The Snow BS is still third. Is that BS for BS Plus competition? I don't know. It might be. It might not. We don't know.
Might just be Snubs.
It's Snubs.
Snubs. Either way, both Snows are safe on this round. It's Mr. Rick dropping in 54th. It's a Simon. Oh no, I say that. It's not quite finished. Simon will drop in 54th. Guisac's in 55th. Mr. Rick is currently in 56th. And Sive will drop out in 57th. As we head down to half 100 players left in competition. And, I hadn't really clocked until you said it out loud. 27 rounds taken to get a winner on this one. That is 27 times the players in our top 2 will have gone around this track by the time they finish it. It's so long. It's so much competition. It's just so long to stay focused. It's a stamina battle in these mini RPG of the weeks.
Especially the longer it gets, like the stamina aspect and the mental aspect just gets that much bigger. With having to focus on difficult tricks all the time to get the turnaround here, and we can even see like really prominent players. Lars, I think one of the best trial players there currently are on Trackmania 2020. Even he's not prone to making mistakes. He's down in the mud a little bit at 48th right now. Of course, he has the skill to probably save it and have a clean run, but if he makes one more mistake and maybe on this plastic, no, of course he's not going to make a mistake. He's going to make the perfect bug slide. Okay, Lars.
It's going to look clean. He's going to make it look easy on the bug slide, which, hey, if there is kind of a place that you expect these good trial players, the experienced players, to make their ground up, it is on those places. And yeah, listen, Acid is down here, and that's scary. Acid, a player who's got a couple of second places, has a first place to his name in mini RPG of the week, was denied that first win by Astronaut in a nail-biting finish, but came back the next week to win anyway. He was maybe sweating a little bit on that round, has managed to secure himself, as long as he didn't fail that finish, a good place. I see Orion in front of it there as well. I see Tom, I see Laser Shack, I see Scalix and No Picks, the players that look to be dropping out right here. There are no positions left available for them to take away. It'll be Tom, Laser Shack, Scalix and No Picks once again dropping out just outside that top 50.
Yeah, No Picks just showing us again the power of a quick risky fin there, but if we've now arrived at our top 50, usually this is where we start the evening and not where we are about 40 minutes in. Of course, I'm very sad. Some people, Yannick seems to be very sad about both Tom and Simon leaving in the earlier round, so definitely not unknown names here. And I'm very sad about Laser Shack leaving because, of course, one more Rocket League friend that's already out. Maybe you should stick to Rocket League. I don't know. It's better than that.
Yeah, where's the ball? I don't understand. Why can't where's my boost? Why can't I air roll? There's a lot of issues in this game. Maybe sort that out before we go any further. As we are starting to get towards the bit where we do expect just pure pace to the side rounds. I mean, it'll probably be down to top 20. I mean, up until then, mistakes will be doing it, but one or two mistakes are probably all you can really start to afford at this point. More than that, you're going to really find yourself in rounds that are just unrecoverable.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, like, right now we can see Lucas Turbo actually doing a full-on stand respawn. I doubt that's faster, but maybe the line was a little bit chalked coming into it. Like, one or two respawns right now still is fine. Like, we can see the players finishing like in the bottom 4 are usually about 20 seconds behind, like that sort of area, about like a 120, 125-ish, if you're going out. So you can still afford to make mistakes, but you can't afford to make too many mistakes, as Robbie is now painfully getting... We haven't seen him once near the bottom 4, but now he is very much in the mud. He has a risky finish to do. He will do the risky finish, but he is out and unlucky. He has had a top 10 finish in the past, I believe.
Yeah, has had a top 10 finish in the past. It was quite impressive, but will drop out in 48th now. Also dropping out is Jaja, a player who early on in our warm-up was one of the players in the top 8. And did still have a PB, I would believe, in the kind of mid to low 106s. So I think that's one of our first kind of big casualties that we've seen. A player who we maybe expected to be doing well on this map. Jaja gone. Rob Observer, a player that, you know, I mean, close to your heart here on the broadcast, gone as well. With less and less players, that's going to start happening more and more often.
Yeah, and we have, again, some very high names at the bottom places. Last, again, a seed again as well. Obviously, they will do quite well in these turnarounds, but still, they are near the bottom, so they can't afford to do many more mistakes here, as they are now out of the bottom 4, except for a Seed, who's still very much in the danger zone.
Yeah, Seed's down in 44th, and he's a few seconds behind at this point as well. He's going to struggle a little bit catching back up. That's an awkward turnaround for CDGG, who's going to have to do the standing respawn. That'll drop a couple of places. The Seed has climbed out to 41st. Look, there was plenty of map left. We were just trying to build a little bit of tension. I never really thought a Seed was going to go out in this round. You know who might go out in this round? Orion. Orion's in 44th now.
I don't know where that came from, but Orion is currently, again, in the danger. Last time around, he wasn't a casting with me. Maybe he can save himself with the risky finish. Everyone going for the risky finish. Last going for the risky finish. Let's see if people are failing it. Let's see who's making it through. It is going to be Orion in 42nd. The last person to be eliminated. The first person to be eliminated. And with him, Experial, Yoshmi Velose, and CDGG.
Burial has been consistently going for that safe fin over and over. That time around, I mean, look, maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. There was about 6 to 8 tenths between them and safety, and I'm not sure you're saving that much on this risky fin, but when you're down in those bottom spots, it's crazy not to try and risk it a little bit. I always feel like, but hey, maybe it's crazy to go for the risk, and then if someone failed in front of you and you fail as well, you just feel foolish. So sticking to your guns, sticking to your principles. Experial will be punished for it, will drop out in that round. NuaLaoch will fail that start, and all of a sudden you are trying to fight for the back, but there's another mistake in front immediately. And we'll jump on board with Maggie, who is now safely up into 35th and is contesting a few of our big mini RPG of the week names down here.
One of the names that is struggling, though, is Corzo. Again, not the first time we've seen him in those bottom places, as well as Tarpor and a Seed. Yet again, a Seed struggling overall in this map. Maybe not a map that is liked by him. Maybe not a map that is like accustomed to his style, or a style that he prefers. He has struggled consistently, but he's making up so much time on this bug slide. Oh, that wasn't clean. Oh, that wasn't clean at all from a Seed. And he's still very much in the bottom zone, as well as one of the mappers, Black Pulse and Corzo. This could be a casualty-rich round.
Oh my goodness, the Seed has to chase some players. I've said it before though, which is when you have some of the top players chasing you down behind you, all of a sudden the pressure is on, and we've seen one of the things that a Seed is good at, one of the things our top players are good at, it's those quarter pipes. He's gained a lot of time back there. Corzo the same. Black Pulse in 38th. A Seed is safe. Black Pulse going for the finish, will make it, but is too slow. Pepito will finish behind as well, and Black Pulse had a string of 8th places a few weeks ago, has been struggling to regain that form, but hey, at least there's an 8th in his finish again this time. There is a 3 in front of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, that means that Black Pulse is also eliminated, but both a Seed and Corzo just at the very end, just with that transition, minimizing the airtime, just saving about half a second to a second there. That was it. That was it. What saved them in the end, because they didn't have a clean round, like not at all, not even close to it. They can't allow these mistakes to happen, because as the field is getting thinned out more and more, these mistakes are going to get punished by a competition ever more.
Hazu is going to crash out on that one. Hazuro is going to crash a little bit, and that's giving space for some of the players behind to catch up. In the bottom right now, it's Yannick and it's Cacao. Pro player, ex-pro player, whatever Yannick calls himself at the moment. The Cacao is right there as well, the current lobby leader. They are struggling. Joining them, Solidarity down the bottom 4 is a seed. What a set of names to see down at the bottom here at the moment. Bozbez down here as well. This bottom 4 is insane at the moment. There's a lot of double respawns there, but one of them is going to have to be, I believe, Cacao is going
Bozbez
all the way back, and Bozbez has missed, and that could now be a very dangerous respawn for Bozbez. Mike Hadjo is down there. Hazarel has not managed to recover all the way back. Cole is just in front of them as well, chasing Bozbez at the moment, pouring the pressure on. Most of those big names, they've managed to climb out without mistakes. They've managed to get in front of a few players. That's a high quarter fight from Cole, heading towards this finish. Will he be able to snipe anyone? Bozbez is in front of Corzo. It might be Bozbez through. It is just in front of Corzo. Cole to follow, then Hazu, then Mike, and it was just Bozbez with a slightly better quarter pipe to win the drag race to the finish.
Jesus. You say slightly better. It's about 8/100ths of a second that saved Bozbez over Corzo and Cole. That was a photo finish if I've ever seen one, as Mike is continuously failing the risky fin. Come on, man. I know you can do better. There we go. That's more like it. Hello. Fourth time lucky for Mike. Still not last.
Still not
Somehow.
Bozbez.
Oh, because Cole left, but Bozbez. I mean, that snipe though. Like,
that's what we
that
love.
was a very, like, that was nearly a moment from last week revisited, where we had the barrel roll finish against the plastic finish, but just that quarter pipe jump, that little bit less of an airtime. You could see it at the boardwalk in front of the camera. That was close.
Yeah, incredibly close, and I do love Corzo's reaction at the end was just, oops. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say, right? You had to risk a little bit more. You maybe needed to try and go a little bit lower in your quarter pipe. Maybe just needed to nail that risky fin a little bit better. Ultimately, it's a lot of what ifs, and what ifs don't matter. Looker's Turbo down here near the bottom, but a couple of players flying out on that last checkpoint will claw him back up to the safety inside the top 30, because we are into our top 30. We'll be eliminating 30, 31, 32, and 33, and I see NuaLaoch back down here once again. I'm seeing a slightly safer round from a few of our top players, though.
Yeah, I see Bozbez and Yannick not in the bottom 4, but in the top 4. But Locker's Turbo, actually, and Yog, both of them having a bit of a nightmare there on that transition after the bug slide. Foe respawning as well, losing contact to NuaLaoch, and Sussy also down there. And so it's still mistakes aplenty from our top dogs, from our big players. As right now we have a 1042 from Snow, but who will be eliminated? Will it be Kai? No, Kai's getting through. Valigan is probably going to get through. Is NuaLaoch going to make it through? Is he going to make it? No, he's not. He is out. And with him joining our first 2 real casualties in Lucas Turbo and Yog.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are 2 big scalps, and they drop out fairly comprehensively at the end of that round in 32nd and 33rd, a long way behind the positions they would have needed, the times they would have needed to be safe. And well, that's the point of competition we are reaching. There are limited spots remaining. There are very good players looking to fill them. A seed has once again had an abysmal start, but hey, he's in good company, because down here as well is Bozbez, is Sussy, aka Lingo, aka Bolingo, something I learned because that's what his Wikipedia page is called.
So I wasn't the only one that I was confused by that. Okay, good.
No.
Yeah, Sussy actually caught Lingo, but you know, we're just gonna Sussy because the name is more fun.
Yeah, it's way more fun.
At least I'm gonna
it's
call him
also
Sussy.
What's written on screen, so you know what,
it's also
I think
easier,
it's fair to keep doing it. Yeah, we'll see how he does on that one. He's managed to climb out. A seed has not. Any Betty now down in 29th as well, one of our gravity players, and we tend to see them doing well enough that that's a surprise in general, seeing that club tag this far down. A seed, he rams into the wall and he gets unlucky, and he respawns very slowly, choosing to ride that wall for a little while. Has more speed than the player in front of him, so will overtake Skydrew immediately, but both of them still need to overtake 2 players to get back in contention for these spots, and I think they're just too far back, because Chaos Hand will rise, will fly, will make it through in 25th place. And behind him is a seed who has recovered one place, but it's only as high as 26th. A seed in 26th, you don't see that every day. Skydrew will go for a dive, just to add a little bit of style to the end. And any Betty, well, there's why he's down here. It's a little bit of lag. He's going for a dance, a little bit of a wiggle on the slope. That's a player who has Alt F4'd his game if I've ever seen one.
Feels, I mean, we can see it in the chat there from Blackpulse. Feels lag, man. I can just... where can I sign that statement and send it off to wherever anybody is living? Because that's just the perfect description of it. Unluckily, we have to say goodbye to another 4 players. Anybody, of course. The one that's, you know, maybe that was out of his control.
Managed to beat a seed. he actually beat a seed. So, or no, he didn't. Sorry, Anyball did. Anybody went fine. Sorry, it threw me on the graphic for a moment there.
Yeah, but still, a seed being out. Just look at how many players we've lost. I mean, come on, we've lost.
Yeah.
Now we've lost a seed as well. I mean, who didn't have a great map. Let's not kid ourselves about that. But who we just, quite frankly, I think we expect better, which might be a bit unreasonable given the difficulty of the map.
Yeah, but I mean, look, when you are consistently getting podiums as often as the seed has, we do just kind of come to expect at least the top 10. I think maybe he'll be a little bit disappointed with that kind of 25th as well. But hey, you can't win every week, and you can't even get top 10 every week. That's being proved here. I think we prove it, honestly, every single week as we watch excellent players drop out. And hey, there are still excellent players left in. I'm seeing, you know, the German contingent, Marius still there. We're seeing we've got our Swiss representative, Yannick, still up there as well. And then there's some excellent players, Snow and Cacao. Players that we don't necessarily see all that much. These are relatively new names on us.
Yeah, relatively new names on us, but showing their mettle immediately. I think that's the first mini RPG of the week that I see them competing in. But you know, if you just can't compete because you're still playing Call of the Day most of the time at 8 PM, I think that's fair. That's fair, and that's what it seems to be about. But Bosbez needs to make up some places. It's still 21st, and no one seems to be failing the finish. Marius and Sussy at the background. They're going for the safe finish, and Bosbez, he tried it. He tried to make the riskiest of risky finishes, but he will pay. And paying is also going to be Dennis, Maggie, and Kai.
That's Bosbez gone. Another very good player who just seemed to be having some struggles with the map as a whole. It wasn't necessarily their favorite, and I do think he potentially arrived a little bit late through warm-up. Maybe. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt as to that's why we didn't see him on the leaderboard for a long time. But yeah, another very strong player eliminated as we head towards our top 20. This will be the second last round, I believe, with 4 eliminations, and then we take a little bit of a breather, and it's 2 eliminations, but that really is the point where it starts to ramp up from there on out. You can really not afford many mistakes. Jojo is going for jump tricks, for ramp tricks on that jump. I'm not 100% convinced that that was either A, intentional, or B, faster.
I mean, minimizing airtime. This is not TMNF where you can edge bug to minimize airtime and to get some weird rotation. Like TM 2020 just simply doesn't allow that to happen. But Jojo maybe stuck in the wrong game. Maybe played some TMNF before this. Who knows? But you know, he has to adapt now to this map and to TM 2020 overall. He's still in the bottom 4. It is, of course, getting ever more difficult to get out of the bottom 4, but he has 2 good overtakes. Morpheo, Yannick's, both down are 2 players that have been in our top 8 local records. Yannick's, of course, still in our top 8 local records, but he currently finds himself in last place, and he's got 5 seconds to make up.
Oh, that's so much time. There's not enough track left to make this one up. He'll have to go super risky. He went super risky, and he found a pole along the way. It'll be a nice jump. We've seen him nailing that quarter pipe because, hey, if there's one thing that our top RPG players are good at, it's quarter pipes. Yannick will just about nail the risky fin, but he will be down in 21st. You know who else was down there who we didn't mention? Snow in 20th. Currently the lobby leader, so we will lose 2 of the top 8. It's Yannick's, it's Snow, it's the other Snow. They go hand in hand into the night, and Alpha Dream will round out our 4 in this round.
I think Snow must have failed the risky finish. There's no other explanation. Yeah. He wasn't down there at all during the entirety of the round, but of course now is going to be the single most brutal elimination round for the 4-person elimination zones, because right now, 17 players, 4 of them get eliminated. You do the math. That's just under a quarter of the lobby being eliminated. And Lingo, a.k.a. Sussy, is currently one of them.
I do respect that you said you do the math and then immediately did the math for everyone anyway. I appreciate it, Mocked, because it's late in the day and I'm not sure my brain was up to the task. Lingo is down here, joined by BMX, joined by Ice. Alpha a long way back after failing to start a couple of times. BMX, ooh, back wheels hanging in space and then too much speed. I think that's going to have to be a double respawn. BMX maybe a little bit slow on the trigger on that one, and all of a sudden now the comeback looks very far out of reach. Maybe it's still in the cards for Lingo. He needs a couple of seconds. He needs a fail in front of him at this point. Whether it comes in the quarter pipe, it doesn't look like it has. Chaos Hand has made it. He now needs someone to fail that risky fin in front. I see a couple of cars taking the safe fin. I don't see anyone failing the risky. That'll be it for Lingo. He'll drop out. I tell a lie. 2 players failed the risky fin. They were just so far in advance that we completely missed them. Edis will drop down. BMX stays out. And Ice will stay down in 14th.
Ice will stay down. Ice failed the risky fin. I think Edis was the other one to fail the risky fin.
I think actually Cacao failed, but managed to get there still in front of our bottom 4.
And also that, and you know what else I've seen? Ice, by the way, top 8 player, another one, down the drain.
We've lost like most of them.
But I've still seen a certain Marius going for safe fin.
Yeah. Hey, consistency is key in many RPGs. There's no shame in taking the safe fin all the way to top 13.
I mean, okay, yeah, fair enough. If you have enough time to take the safe fin, why not take the safe fin? But I don't think he'll be awarded any more time for taking that safe fin the longer this goes on, as we're slowly but surely heading into top 12, top 10 territory. See a lot of... I mean, we only have the cream of the crop left at this point. There's no reason saying, oh, we're going to lose a big player. Of course we are. We went down from 96 players to top 13.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that this risky fin is like all that much faster. It is faster than the other fin, but I think maybe? In this map it's probably not even under half a second. So I think Marius has just recognized that and been like, yeah, it's just not worth the risk of this plastic eating my bounce at any point. Hazard, though, I mean, look, you're going to have to risk right now because you are down in 12th place. You have Jura Jojo in front. Jura Jojo is gone as well. You can see Sussy and Marius both take the safe in. Hazard will drop out in 12th place. Worker in 13th as well. Just outside the top 10. As yeah, I mean, look, why not just go for that safe in? If you have even a couple of tenths in hand, there's absolutely no need to risk it. You called it out earlier, Mock. This is one of the safest safe ins we've ever seen. You drive in a straight line and you will finish about 2 tenths slower. That's worth the risk to me.
It definitely seems like worth the risk, especially because you can also not fall off a plank right here. Yeah. But with Worker gone, we've lost now our first from the local leaderboards, our second from the local leaderboards. We've lost Boss Bears, we've lost Yannex, and we lost Ice. So 4 of the top 8 gone, done, into the oblivion.
Just sent to the void. They've been banished to the Shadow Realm, but hey, we still
Shadow
have
Realm. That was the one I was looking for. Damn.
Yeah. Listen, I figured we'd get there eventually. That's why my Trackmania club is called Heart of the Cars, because my grandfather's club has no weak cars.
Fair,
which, hey,
fair.
I enjoy that fun, and I've been using it for years in Rocket League. Morpio gets a little bit of a bug through that water, and now will be fighting his way back. Is behind Juro Jojo. Does lack critical speed heading towards this finish. Will need a very good quarter pipe. Juro Jojo is low on that booster. Morpio is very high on the quarter pipe. Is just behind Juro Jojo. That booster will give enough speed for the car in front to stay ahead. You need someone to fail. You need to get it right. Nobody failed. Morpio will drop out in 10th place, will get onto the Liquipedia page, and Valigan will drop in 11th.
Valigan dropping 11. Morpheo, the last one to get on the Liquipedia page, and I've just seen Sussy again going for the safe, and same with Marius, and I've been having a close look at their times in comparison to those who went for the for the risky fin, and the difference was actually 1.3 seconds.
It was
that might have been a distortion. So let's say it's 1 second, but that's still more than both of us expected.
That's way more than I thought it was. Absolutely, that's good information.
That drive down there just very, very long.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, look, the thing is, they've had a second in hand because they've been consistent throughout the rest of the map, and they're just choosing to take the safe fin. The safe fin exists for a reason. Take it if you have the time, is I think just a good place to be in as well. But maybe it does cost you when you don't have the consistency that other top players do when you get to it. With that said, consistency, even in the top 10, is something we are lacking at the moment. Both Lingo and Kakao are down here in the elimination zones. Kakao will overtake someone to get there. Beta Toast in front of him. Beta Toast, there's a player who has been keeping his nose very clean this evening.
Yeah, very clean. Not a lot of, like, outstanding performance, but we can see him 7th in the local leaderboards with a 104.7 as his PB. So definitely always just around that 105, 106 time. Very consistent as we go. Head into the last one. Lingo has to make it work with the safe fin. Marius at the back there. But Lingo gets absolutely destroyed by that plastic. What was that bounce?
I mean, that's what happens if you do not get enough rotation on your car. One wheel hits. Lingo goes out in 9th. Jura Jojo out in 8th. We head to the top 7. 2 more eliminations here. And then we head into single elimination for our top 5. I mean, look, there are a lot of familiar names on the leaderboard at this point. Marius could still look to pick up another Mini RPG of the Week win. It's been a while at this point since he has managed to collect one. Tarpor, I believe, still looking for a first. May have one along the way somewhere. Beta Toast in a similar boat. In fact, I think Marius may be the only previous winner left in. Am I crazy?
I think you'd be correct in that. I don't know for sure on the top of my head. We have to check, but I think Marius the only one that has won before, and Marius the only one that's still consistently going for the safe. And will he do that now? It's again a very, very hard round to survive. Only 5 out of 7 make it. It's again 28% for those that know their mathematics. But there was a big whiff, I think, from Lars. Yeah, Lars at the back has to make up a lot of time. Has to hope for anyone, for 2 people basically, to fail the risky fin. Chaos and good airtime reduction, maybe a little bit too risky, as Marius is now going for the risky fin. Everyone getting it, no one failing, and that means Chaos and our trial master Lars are both eliminated as we head into the top 5 with Coco, Better Toast, Demos, Tarpor, and of course Marius.
You have to respect Marius just being able to turn it on when he needs to start going for the risky fin, because this was the first round where, yeah, he needed to go for the risky fin, and despite not needing to do it before, despite the fact that he's been going safe fin for round after round after round after round, when he finally needs to try it, he just nails it, just does it casually as if it's not even hard. And it's not that hard if you're a good player, I suppose, but we have seen plenty of very good players who've been going for it consistently still fail it. We're in our top 5. We're down to single elimination at this point. Let's see who is the first of our single eliminations. Tarpor is chasing, but the pack is definitely bunched at this stage of competition.
Pack is definitely very, very closely together, and everyone is not allowed, like, no one is allowed a single mistake. Tarpor, that's a very tight going into this bug slide. Gets a good speed out of it. Now who can hug the wall effectively? Is anyone going to bounce out from the wall? No, the water is not going to deny anyone right here. Tarpor has about half a second to make up to Marius, who's the next closest player to him. Now last quarter pipe jump. Anyone failing this one? No, everyone going straight. Everyone is very clean. Any snipes happening? No snipes going to happen. Marius getting it clean, and Tarpor can't do anything. He got close to within a 10th, but at the end we have to say goodbye to Tarpor.
That's a great race. That's what we want out of our top 5. These players are the players who have it on lock at the moment. You said it. You cannot afford a mistake here. And honestly, Tarpor didn't even really make a mistake. He was just that little bit slower. Took a couple of compromise lines early on and was forced to chase hard to try and make up for it. It was a valiant effort. Got to within a 10th, couldn't quite do it. Demos is now going to be forced to release, and now he's the one who is going to be chasing the race. That's the compromise line. That's the mistake. You have to feel it's over for Demos. But what do we always say in Mini RPG of the Week, MachtFISCH? You never DNF because you don't know what's going to happen.
It's never over until it's over, really. In Mini RPG of the Week, maybe Bitter Toast, Cookout, and Marius are a little bit too safe now. That's why you don't DNF. Demos suddenly is again in 3rd place on the podium place, and I think Better Toast failed twice actually. So he now has to hope. I don't even think one mistake is enough from Demos to make Better Toast overtake him. I think Demos has it on lock if he can even go safe in.
He could even go safe in. He is now that far ahead. I'm loving the comments in chat. Tarpor saying, what? I'm out after driving a safe round, getting within a 10th, and now this is the round where all the mistakes come in. I mean, yeah, he's absolutely right. Very unfair of the other players to do it to him. Demos will still take a risky fin. Beta Toast with 2 tree passes, true tree crashes, will drop in 4th place. Not quite on the podium positions. We'll go for a plastic bounce on the other one just for style points. We'll grind upside down. Won't probably make the finish. Oh, the car lands upright and will manage to roll on into that finish. Couple of wiggles. That's what you see as a victory lap on an F1 straight. Those little wiggles at the end. This is maybe not victory for Beta Toast, but hey, at least he got across that finish line in the end.
I can tell you for who it is victory, though. It is a victory for Cacao, who's just posted our new best time with a 104.197, getting himself very neatly on the top of that local leaderboard as we head into the podium places. Who's going to take the bronze medal and who's going to secure at least silver for the Maris? Going for the tightest line, Cacao. Going for an outside setup, carrying more speed into this. Everyone is so close together. This is going to go down to the wire.
Oh, and there is Cacao getting a slightly more compromised exit than the other players who did seem to just airbrake, managed to get their wheels under them a little bit quicker on that reactor section. And now Cacao has to chase, has to risk, has to be aware of that tree. It's already cost Beta Toast his life. Cacao lands so quickly, and now he's a little bit more speed, but the speed doesn't matter because you have to head into this grass slide. It's on plastic, but it's still a grass slide. Cacao is gaining a little bit. He's gaining almost completely on Marius, but Marius hits that wall quicker. It doesn't matter. Cacao is now right behind him, heading into the finish. It's all to play for.
Everything within a second, and Cacao might have a tighter line here for this quarter
good.
Pipe jump. Oh my god, that's a brilliant quarter pipe jump. Marius currently on the chop block. Is he going to make a safe and risk of it? Oh, Cacao!
No! Oh, he played it perfectly. He played it perfectly. The quarter pipe was gorgeous. It was just ideal. And then the risky fin, he falls off a little bit too late. You can see disaster about to strike. The wheels hit plastic and he is sent to Timbuktu. It's Marius in the final. It's Demos in the final. We're on Rackham and it's all to play for.
All to play for. Oh god, and Demos with an early mistake.
No.
Could that be it? He's still well within a respawn of Marius, so Marius cannot afford to make any big mistakes himself. So he has to keep it clean because Demos is still lurking. Oh, but this is such a big relief for Marius. But will it get to him? You know, it's almost a psychological battle now. You know you can't make any mistakes, but at the same time, you know you're so far ahead that you can save it maybe a little bit too much and miss a speed check. Maybe here, no, Marius is going to use all of his experience.
Yeah, he's fine, he's fine. He's got plenty of time. He is being slightly hauled in by Demos, but I mean slightly. I mean, it's 1/10, 2/10 on a 2-second lead. As long as Marius keeps his nose clean between here and the end, I think Marius is potentially going to be adding to his tally of mini RPG of the week wins. You just need to be careful. This one last quarter pipe, you still probably need to go for the risky fin. That's very safe. He's gonna go for the safe fin. Does this leave the door open? It's fine. Demos made another mistake behind. Marius is safe across the line. And that will be Marius taking another mini RPG of the week win. It will still be a very impressive second place finish for Demos. And it will be heartbreak down in third. As Cacao did get punished by a risky fin. But what a finish that was. What a podium we had. What a week it has been, MachtFISCH.
Absolutely incredible. 96 entrants to Mini RPG of the Week. We are left with one at the end, and that, of course, is Marius 89. The German just couldn't be denied. Going for the safe a lot of time and going for the risky fin wherever and whenever he needed to go for the risky fin. Perfect evaluation of his option, and in the end, you just have to say, the most consistent player there was in this competition.
Yeah, he was just consistent, and I think that was the key. He was one of a couple of players we saw just going for that safe fin every time. Not once when he didn't need to did he risk that risky fin. Not once did he risk that just freak chance of a bounce out and slightly miscalculating your drop off the beam. Marius just made it work the entire way through. That's the experience from a very experienced player coming into play. And MachtFISCH, we love to see players playing to their strengths, and I think that's exactly what this win this week has been.
Yeah, Marius, I think otherwise known as a bit of a safe master. He's usually like preferring the safe strats. He's usually not trying to go for anything fancy, but you know, just nailing everything else. And that's been it. Like, that third place, like, the fact that he didn't get eliminated in third because Kakao tried to push for first. He wanted to definitely win that round after that super clean quarter pipe. I think that just speaks volume to why it's never over until it's really, truly over and everyone is finished.
Yeah. Until everyone has crossed the line. The mini RPG of the week is not over, but everyone has crossed the line. We've eliminated a full 95 players. We have a winner, and that brings mini RPG of the week number 14 to a close. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure as always. Join us back next week. It's edition number 15 already. We're well over 3 months of this competition at this point. MachtFISCH continues to hold on to his grasp on that second caster seat spot, and joining him next week will be Swaces. It's going to be a fun week. I might even be around to play in it for potentially the first time ever, so we can all make fun of me. Make sure you get back here for that one. I didn't say that was what you got to do, and we'll see you next week for mini RPG of the week.
Bye.